was. But I was in a hidden place, so it was more likely that they were tripping and not noticing. I decided that it was probably alright for me to walk to the shitter and take a poop. I think I may have held the mudra for the entire time going to the pooper. And I may have attempted to hold it while shitting, but I did have to drop my pants, so probably tried rocking back and forth and then having to push it down like this, and who knows. Or maybe I did break the mudra and just do it a normal way, because I had to put also toilet paper on the toilet seat. Who knows if those guys have hepatitis? Anyway, it's a funny thing, but anyhow. Fears lasting from childhood. Unsure if it's a neuroses or that's a wisdom, or if it's a fear that needs to be let go of. It seems cleanly and sorry for the trees. I, of course, probably have less waste than the average individual, so it probably equals out, not a big deal. And everything's perfect as well, so no judgment. Love you guys. If you use giant handfuls like baseball mitts, that's fine. I love you. And myself as well. I don't do that, but I found more efficient ways to wipe my ass. That's folding the toilet paper. I didn't know you could do that. You know, a girlfriend showed me that while she sat in me with me shitting. I thought it was terribly intrusive, and why would somebody do that to me? But I guess it was helpful, and it was more like a teacher in consciousness, just kind of pushing your button, saying, hey, you can shit comfortably around anything. It's really not a big deal. I, of course, didn't get the message then, but it integrated later. Still, nobody really sits with me while I shit, but, you know, I guess if they do, no big deal. I guess it'll be uncomfortable at first, but I'll learn to accept it. Bro. Anyhow, I'm still holding this mudra, kind of like before. But it's good. Holding this mudra really reminds me of what I'm doing every time I look at it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what we were talking about. Pissing myself in front of others. After sitting somewhere forever and becoming a mountain. It's cool to have the realization of these experiences, but not actually have to do them forever, because obviously, being a human being and not like realizing the breatharian type quality people are, you know, boasting about, but never actually showing about, which is funny. You know, why don't you just put yourself in a science room for 6 months where we don't feed you if you're such a great breatharian? We'll give you a walled-in area with the sun accessible to you 24 hours a day. You know, we'll find some way to give you a forest location, you know. Show us what's going on. I mean, it's been like fucking 80 years since we've been talking about this shit, and there's been no actual, like, scientific documentation of the validity of these statements. So we'll see what's going on with you, buddies. We'll put you in a little place where you can't fucking eat. We'll see if you die within 15 fucking days or not. 40 days, you know, that's the longest a man's been able to be trapped within a cave, if they say. He was quite obese, I bet. So a lot of fat to eat and digest in those 40 days of no movement, because it was pitch fucking black in there. But, you know, maybe you're going to survive like him. You're pretty skinny and slender, though. I doubt you have the fat to survive 40 days, but maybe you got the muscle. They say muscle's worth more than fat. As it turns out, based on this man's survival, it turns out the brain never eats, or is never eaten by the body in order to survive the body. The heart is eaten before the brain. And when you finally lose enough muscle capacity there, you'll die. But it will never eat the brain. So thank goodness for all of you with eating disorders. Your brain's not getting eaten. There's just something fucked up with your wiring. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I mean, kind of a little bit. You can vibrate yourself back by simply loving yourself. It's okay. You're amazing, beautiful, gorgeous, and grand. And whatever story it is that you're, you know, living off of that's causing you the dissonance within your frequency, that's your own self-mutilation to your own being, you can see a new pattern and a new way through simply learning how to lovingly express yourself towards yourself and letting go of those illusory realities that have to do on judgmental mentalities that base themselves on the perception of others to status their own being and their own contextual core shape of understanding and loving and feeling worthy. There we go, worthiness. You're not to say anything in judgment towards you either. You're amazing and wonderful, perfect in every way. But these silly stories are really just leading you to dissonances within yourself. And we can tell it to you straight, we can tell it to you this way or that way or the other way. And other people are beat around the bushes, liars, polite mentalities that wish to not harm other realities. And so they never actually give them wisdom that's helpful. But you're totally capable and accurate and intelligent, astute enough to really understand what somebody's saying in layman terms. And it's most likely that you're telling yourself these things too, and so why not tell it to you like it is, the way you would say it to yourself? And if you don't say it to yourself that way, well, let's be really direct and honest with ourselves, impeccable with our words, so that we can have a real transition from where we are and not where we think ourselves to be or where we're acting like we are. Let's be where we are actually. It's okay to be where we are. We're amazing, phenomenal, innocent beings within consciousness, deserving and worthy of love. As soon as we give it to ourselves, we'll see that. It's really easy, actually. I mean, it seems quite difficult, but it just takes the intention and the action. You look yourself in the mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and tell yourself that you love yourself. Have you ever told yourself or told somebody else that you love them and not had them believe you, but you did love them and you wanted them to believe you? Did you ever try to make them believe you or wish that you did? Make yourself believe you. When you see in your eyes that you don't believe you, go ahead and make yourself believe you, because you do love yourself, don't you? I mean, shit, maybe you don't. Who knows? I bet you do. Anyways, I found it was true for me, and after 6 years of self-hate, I came to self-love in a single evening. It was the most amazing thing in the world. So phenomenal. Came to unconditional love for myself and all other beings everywhere without one exception. And then I ruined my dialogue on how to articulate that reflection as I released the dogmas and illusory stories of my reality, the judgmental mentalities fed upon me by other illusory beings that believed in concept and didn't have real knowing. It spread onto me their fear and their ignorance and in an innocence, in a way that agitated my frequency into rightness, into knowing and understanding that'd be necessary for me. So I have great gratitude for every being I've ever met, in any way we've ever related, in every way we ever will relate. Thank you for everything. Seen and unseen, known and unknown. We are perfect in every way, and when we come into the understanding of this frequency, it's a spaciousness that will allow us to see that that is true of us. And we'll start conducting us in different ways as we see ourselves as worthiness. When we see ourselves as worthy of us, that will be the most amazing thing in the world, We start to do for ourselves in a way that's really, truly loving and kind, and not against anything, not to repel anything or to show up against any idea or illusory story of some other person's ignorance and innocence, but that we just simply be ourselves genuinely because we wish to be, and that it be beautiful and amazing and radiant and all that it needs to be. That no other extra needs to be happening for us sufficiently for the amazing worthiness of being here in harmony with all beings. And then we can really just truly be free, liberated beings, as we are already, enlightened, embodied, enlightened action in every way. We'll see when we release the judgment of ourselves how easy it is to release the judgment of the world around us. That it was never even our judgment of the world we were seeing. It was us, our judgment of ourselves. One day we'll be able to really understand the mirror before us. And that's the most amazing, gorgeous, phenomenal forest, the most amazing trees fruiting the most amazing fruits, and they live eternal. The seeds that were sown so long ago to give us the road to know how the beginning and end does show through everything simultaneously. So maybe you are all singing a song very similar to this. But there's a way to understand it more intrinsically or synchronistically, more intricately. That was the one. More decisively deriving from an amazing, phenomenal synchronicity in teaching, that we may actually see in commonality what's actually happening here within all reality. It's amazing, really. And it'll come with us using our voices, from us losing the doubt in ourselves, from wishing to be in some prison, some ego identity of heaven or hell. I don't know why we continue to rhyme these same rhymes, but maybe it needs to be seen that we imprison ourselves with our own minds, our illusory viewpoints, but we could free ourselves quite instantaneously by changing the perspective, or at least just relaxing
what we believe to be true of the collective. Obviously, we don't know something so absolutely unless we come in direct embodiment of experience. And we would never be shaken or triggered by anybody putting seeming contradiction or agitation to that. So if there is a possibility to be triggered from our centering by somebody presenting an information very genuinely, then I wonder why it is that we are so vain to think that something is coming up against our perfect refrain. I mean, if you have the truth, then I guess speak it through. And if it's common to us all, and it can be seen in every song, then show us the common thread. And if it really be different than what I've said, then I'd be really confused. I'd love to share information and see whose views the view. Mine goes in truth and wisdoms with many things already. I didn't know this from study or disciplinary action. I simply told people of my direct experience, and they told me how it aligned with theirs and the other things that they've been reading. Thank goodness they were such brilliant studiers as to make me intelligent in this moment. And so is all of consciousness, this phenomenal moving ocean. I mean, anybody who's come in direct experience, luckily for me, I've met so many beings that I don't have to question me. It's amazing, really, how we can see it reflected in all things. That the beginning and end is truly here with us already. I'm not saying just me, but literally everything entirely, simultaneously occurring to the smallest to the largest, and no matter which way you may arrange all of these amazing combinations of things, that they all last here as perfection, the male and the female embodied, the phi ratio, the golden mean. Here we sit inside of Fibonacci, perfect and forever. Why can't we ever find where they connect? Because here they are already, here within our own heads, within our hearts. You see, it unites, projects all of our reality, reflecting everything to be true for us to see and benefit for everything. We're amazing beings. One day you will see the truth of this, and you'll lose your judgment, and you will allow other beings to express from what is wisdom united. It's amazing to finally see what has been provided by this silence, that quite loud is this amazing way in which we express the limitless of our existence. And it is the breath, the wisdom, the motion embodied, everything entirely in synchronicity. Entirely in synchronicity. Coming into fine-tuning with all of this present syllable tree within all of our reality. Learning how to connect with it and come into confidence by expressing here within this limitless of everything, that which is limitless bliss. I'll say it amazing repetitive times, whatever it will do to unlimit my line. Don't care if I rhyme or sign or die. Inside this here way in which I found that I reside and no longer hide, that I am vulnerable, that I allow myself to be spontaneous, that I no longer hesitate within this moment to continue to manipulate, control it. How will I know its motion? It's amazing, really. The breath is leading me, everything entirely. The Ha, the spirit, the holy way. What do you find inside this thing? That we are not separate from a single being. That you may wish to make us separate, that you may wish to divide us with your judgment. But that too is not you, that you're not a doer, that you're a perfect, amazing mover, innocent in all ways, a teacher to us all, relating to everything in the most amazing, phenomenal, perfect way that you have led us. That you, in every way you've been, in everything in which way it's been, has given us the frequencies, the keys to be liberated beings. That it was impossible without everything being just exactly the way that it has been necessarily for our benefit within all and everything. How can we continue breathing within, coming into all of these things, and finding that it leads itself, that it unfolds its own, that it is unknown, that it is known, that it is its own home, that we don't need to roam, and continue to know that we will be here provided for, and we are always already provided for necessarily exactly to the amount of need in which we have actually, no matter what our mind and time story is telling us. And even that story is a perfection provided to us to conscious the agitation and movement that will move us most efficiently for the most joyous nature of our own individual and collective being. It's amazing, really. It's a phenomenal thing that we come to the rhyme, the syllable structure, the time in which we come to see what is happening inside us here when we. It's phenomenal to surrender to sit here inside the splendor and render unto us all these amazing ways in which we could see that all in all we fall into the call, the center of our frequencies. Breathing in deeply. It's amazing how the freedom of motion continues itself, that I would never lose if I never gained favor for some other preference than being here within this here amazing, savory feeling. But then again, in that moment, I began to guide it. But I began to ride a moment, providing manipulation to the silence. But it's okay, because I'll see it very quickly, and I'll surrender myself back to what is all and every being. Because, maybe sometimes through observation, I begin to believe that I know which way in which the moment wishes to be created. But instead, I just sit here watching, being the listener, witnessing, observing, seeing how all of this here amazing splendor can render into me in action of single syllable structure and frequency that will lead me to be free. And that I can just watch everything, that I can get out of my way and sit in silence and say that, yeah, I can trust me and all and everything to move me efficiently to the benefit of all beings, as it does actually everything in all of we. All of me, all of the things that are singularly here occurring, thinking that they may be divided in some way, but no, they're not separate. They're here similar, just here a little bit different in a little bit of ways, at a time structure and a different frequency. You'll see when we come into the articulation of all of reality, very poetically, very amazingly, synchronicity precisely. That's right, it's coming here specifically to show us very logically what's happening, that we never fall away from the center of our frequency again to some illusory reality that made it seem as if we needed to attack or defend we, to come somewhere within we that was perfect and amazing and liberated. Now maybe that's the truth of the past, but it's no longer going to be the truth of the future. We're heading into an eternal golden age, a liberated state that we will forever know what it means to relate with every being in a good way. How easy it is to fall into effortlessness, how amazing is the abuse that is the laziness, the gluttony, the frequency that would hold me away from me so efficiently as to make something think that illusory reality is somehow a benefit to me. Like I'm some weak little being that doesn't like to be moving and expressing itself constantly. What do you mean? I'm a singer, I'm a dancer, I am constantly moving with every weaving of energy. I love it. And when I sleep, I love it too. When I'm lazy, I love it too. When I do this, I love it too. So I don't provide any kind of judgmental frequency, but I can see all kinds of things that lead me down this way, that way, that way, that way, just the ways in which I express and distinguish between illusory focuses that lead me to dream, to believe that I am some tiny little illusory being that has no amazing potential and focus to bring into this amazing potion, this amazing phenomenal moment, a limitless way in which expression can effortlessly own this, that I've come so far back within myself that I forgot what it meant to be effortless, that I now must apply force to see what is here effortlessly provided to me. But in any moment that I decide to last within synchronicity and trust of all these things in motion, and that I allow myself to become flexible, and I can see very easily how everything's moving me, how I can play along with the entire song. But why would I want to do that if it means that I would be wrong? That I believe that I would be here now united in harmony with those things that I believe to be divided. But actually here within this amazing empty silence, there's nothing else but enlightenment residing. So here I come out of my own hiding into a vulnerable state, into a non-hesitational place, into a space that has brought to me through spontaneity the seeds and the syllable structures in which I now am able to weave a tree of fruit that folds into itself so phenomenally that everything can see in synchronicity really quickly, easily what it means to be here now in the breath fully, that they haven't seen for so long, but it will be well documented on video, in sound, in motion, and in bliss, that nobody could be confused as to the message that was brought to us by the pureness of consciousness, that no, it did not speak of judgment or focus, that see that anything within our lives be imperfect already, that no, there was only ever perfection, so we can just rest easy, that here now is already perfectly in synchronicity. And we just breathe subtly in any way in which we do, actually. So in any way in which you feel authentically, most naturally in the moment, that be exactly the way in which you are to be. And that's the entirety of the frequency. So that's not just judgment or happiness or sadness or worry or doubt, but all of the judgments and frequencies and sadnesses and happinesses to the very smallest percentiles of their adding in to create the entire song, which is the chord shape of your expression in any moment. Only you will know this. So it is for you to know yourself uniquely. For me to know you in any moment would be very interesting. Maybe the moment does, and maybe it'll come through me, but I wouldn't know it. It would just be something that was me that was happening. And then maybe it was you as well. I'm sure that everything occurs in such an amazing balance to where it could never be anything else. Thank you for everything. For showing me and allowing me to breathe. Show what it means to be in spontaneity, to follow the syllable structure of the moment. To allow the body to get into own it. And all the energy I need is always provided to me. And it's always very, very easy. And it's hard for me to try to control me. Because everything that's led me to even this moment has been perfect. So maybe I was lazy, or maybe I was tired, or maybe I was hurt, or maybe I was arrogant, or maybe I was happy, or maybe I was sad, or maybe I was looking too much into my coffee, or mad at my dad. Maybe I was smoking too much, being too lazy, not focusing. But it still brought me to this moment, and I can't see how it could ever be different without this. So, pretty much, the moment after I believe something wrong has occurred, here's the next syllable structure. And, well, how could I judge even that? How could I think that it was wrong? How could I think that it didn't belong? Well, I can't believe that it's a wrong song, so I just have to believe that I'm exactly where I was meant to be. No matter where I happen to be, no matter what happened to get me there. And so I have to believe that easily for everything. No matter what's led you here now to seeing this video and hearing these syllables, it's been perfect. And so are you. So is all that is. Everything that's ever touched you to bring you to this focus. Everything that will ever touch you from this moment. Everything that you will ever touch, in any way that you will ever touch it, with your thought, feeling, or actions. And one day we'll all be able to see this, and we'll gain traction on how to no longer have what we see to be satisfaction. Now we come into spontaneous reaction. Spontaneous lack of hesitation in the moment. Reaction was hanging out with us for a while there, so I added it to the song where it seemed to belong, but you know, it seemed like the other syllable structure wished to come through, and now we've had this different groove. But I'm happy it came in because it seemed like we were being quite redundant, so I'm happy to get some extra energy and syllable structure to move the momentum of what it was we were saying. Sometimes it can be tough. One motion sustains, kind of like we said before, you know. Where it's nice that the poop was added to that ceremony. Otherwise, I might have sat there forever and died and starved to death. Surely I would have died from water quite soon, holding the breath for that long, because water is something that depletes from me easily. Maybe it smells alcoholic coffee. And still, it seems as though I really need to drink it. I woke up last night with a headache from hell. I thought I might die. I wasn't sure if the weed had caused it, but once I drank the water, I felt better. So it must be, did the weed cause me to wake up, see that I was gonna sleep through a crazy dehydration and not be able to make it through it, or did the weed cause it? It's interesting, tough to say. Either way, it led to the perfection of me drinking the water when I needed to, and so I feel good today, thank goodness. Who knows what to say and how to direct myself. I guess I'll just have to allow myself to be however I wish, just hope that that's somehow exactly what is of the highest benefit.
It seems as though, as I watch everything else within the mirror, that it's true for them. That even when they kill one another, it's perfect. Even when they cause wars with each other, it's perfect. Even when they starve each other's villages, it's perfect. Even when they rape each other and do the worst of pillaging, you know, when they thieve from each other constantly, when they lie to each other every day, it's still perfect in every way. So I have to imagine that me being truthful and honest and authentic constantly is probably also quite perfect as well. Well, thank you for everything. Thank you for allowing me to present this channel to you, for allowing me to say all these things through. It's wonderful for me to do it for so long. I didn't know if I was going to do it for the entire day or how it would lead, but that's how it seems when you get into the moment and you feel like you like it, just like that motion I told you about earlier. It was the greatest motion in the world for me. I didn't want anything else, and so it had to give me something else, some dissonance, in order to break me from the great, amazing grasping that was the attachment to even the most perfect of things. This is kind of like the breaking of purist mentality. You know, that's why I believe Jesus said he didn't come to help the righteous. How are you going to help them? They have righteousness. To let go of righteousness is almost the hardest thing to ever do. You almost have to be forced to. And for me, luckily, I've given up choice previously through surrender to medicine ceremony in the setting of the Bodhisattva's intention, no matter what it meant for me. And so it seems as though maybe that's why it always rights my frequency and helps me and resets me. Or maybe that's simply the way it always does everything. You'd have to explain to me from your point of awareness and mindfulness, if you've ever focused on this personally, actually. You may say very instantly, oh yeah, that's how it works. But I would only really accept the mind of a scientist when it comes to finding out to determine to this specific